practical consideration for a career is what you can see yourself dedicating yourself to, like what you can study day in and day out. That's just as practical as what job gives the most reliability. My name is Jean-Christian Barry. On Broadway, How to Dance in Ohio. So How to Dance in Ohio focuses on 7 autistic young adults at Amigo Family Counseling. So they kind of created a club name for themselves, the Spectrum 7. The first time going on a track is terrifying no matter what, because you don't want to mess up anyone else's show. You want to get everything right for yourself, but you also don't want to interfere with everyone else's flow. But when you've been preparing for it, you're really excited. I was the first member of the Spectrum 7 to go on. So I was like, this is my chance. Let me show off a little bit. I made a couple mistakes, but I had a lot of fun. It was exciting. I was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I grew up in Durham, North Carolina. Deciding to pursue musical theater was a slow decision for me. I always loved musicals. The Wizard of Oz was the first movie I was obsessed with, and then my mom was annoyed with it and got me a VHS of The Wiz, and that was my new movie to be obsessed with. But I also was always taught to choose a practical career, so I thought I'd be a doctor like my parents wanted, or a journalist like my mom. But I always wanted to be in choirs. I always wanted to watch movies, watch TV shows, and I found that a practical consideration for a career is what you can see yourself dedicating yourself to, like what you can study day in and day out. That's just as practical as what job gives the most reliability. The first Broadway show I saw was SpongeBob SquarePants the Musical on Broadway, and it was marvelous. My dream roles on Broadway are Henrik in A Little Night Music, Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors. I learned that I was autistic when I was 22 years old, around my 22nd birthday. I ended up seeing a doctor, and the doctor was like, has anyone suggested to you that you might be neurodivergent? And I'm like, in what way? Light is made of waves, sound is made of waves, people are not made of waves. They've mentioned potential bipolar disorder and anxiety disorders, and everyone knows I'm sad. And they were like, well, have you considered that it might not be so much a mood disorder as much as a social disorder? Dancing would be easier if dancing was math. I'm singing Waves and Wires from How to Dance in Ohio because it was the callback song for How to Dance in Ohio, because I never got to sing it on Broadway, and because I think it's one of the songs that works the best as a solo song. It's very personal, about a frustration with understanding. But unlike a circuit, a person can grow. I think learning that someone is autistic as an adult is both a really joyous experience, because now these things that you've struggled with that people haven't really respected your struggle with, you have a word for it, you have a definition, and you have a recognition of these struggles that are very real for you. And it also is a really sad experience, because you realize all these times that you were mean to yourself, and a lot of the times that people were being mean to you, it wasn't because of you being bad or deserving something, it was because you were different and people didn't know how to respond to that. The experience of How to Dance in Ohio was different as an autistic performer because I was in a room not full of, but with a lot of people that were going through variations of my experience in a theater rehearsal process. And that's so pleasant, so special, so magical, because singing all the time, stimming, needing to look off and not stare at a person doing a thing and everyone understanding was a blessing. Part of why I became a swing was because I could never pick which role in a show I identify with the most. And this was a show where it was even more personal. Like, I got to really play 3 tracks that I related to. The track that I identified with the most in How to Dance in Ohio was Remy. I love costumes. I'm shy, but I'm loud in my support of myself. And I love Remy, and I love the song Remy gets to sing in this show. The first 2 contracts I did after my diagnosis, I did not disclose that I was autistic to either of those. And when I was in consideration for How to Dance in Ohio, I was very stressed about whether or not to come out professionally and publicly with that diagnosis. When you're autistic, before people know that you're autistic, they treat you differently. They don't know why, but they figure out little ways to treat you differently and other you. But when they know that you're autistic, sometimes they can now justify why they treat you differently. There's a diagnostic criteria list of things they can say, but we don't like this. You have a hard time with stress around time. We don't like this, so we're going to penalize you for that. Versus me just doing my best and masking really hard at my own detriment.
Sweet thing, let me tell you about the world and the way things are. You've come from a different place and I know you've traveled far. Now that you told me what it is, I'd better point you toward...
I'm singing He's the Wiz because He's the Wiz is the song that signed me with my agency. The Wiz was the second movie I fell in love with, and I fell in love with it deeper than The Wizard of Oz, because not only did it have the magic of the Oz dream, but it had people that looked like me in a musical.
Drink that'll bubble and foam, da 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 da, and in a flash you will be home. He's the Wiz, he's the Wizard of Oz, he's got magic up his sleeve. And you know without his keeps would be impossible to leave. Fantastic powers at his command. Yeah, da 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 da. I'm sure that he will understand. He's the Wiz and he lives in Oz.
I came out as non-binary before I came out as autistic. I'm singing Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman because I'm a non-binary person. And I think not everybody can tell that when they first meet me. If they know me, and they understand. But if they're first meeting me because there is a perception of what non-binary looks like, I might not look like their version.
I used to think I had the answers to everything. But now I know life doesn't always go my way. Feels like I'm caught in the middle. That's when I realize I'm not a girl, not yet a woman. All I need is time, a moment that is mine, while I'm in between. I'm not a girl.
The role that made me pursue theater, that made me decide to pursue theater, was Kinky Boots' Lola. I saw the national tour, I made my mom go see it. It was remarkable, it was gay, it was fabulous. I watched the Tony Award performance to Billy Porter. Lola and that level of fabulosity made me pursue a career in theater.
I'm not a girl, don't tell me what to believe. I'm just trying to find the woman in me. All I need is time, a moment that is mine, while I'm in between. I'm not a girl. Not yet a woman.
The most surprising thing about working on Broadway is that it's another show, just like every other show you've done. The dynamic is surprisingly similar to other productions I've done. High school, summer stock, regional, off-Broadway. It's hard. Everybody's trying their best to make a thing happen. Broadway is just as unlikely as every school production. Everyone's like, do we have a show? I was surprised by how similar Broadway was to every other theater production. My advice to aspiring Broadway performers is, if Broadway is your dream, you should analyze why and find ways to pursue that dream in every way except Broadway, and possibly Broadway will happen. Laura Sam is the site director for North Carolina's Governor's School East, which is a summer academic program, but she, when I attended Governor's School, was the head of the choral program. And her mantra was that everyone can sing, some people just have their permission taken away from them. As a person who's had my permission taken away by several people, but who's also taken away my own permission to sing, that blew my mind. I was like, oh, I can do this. I can just do it. Everyone doesn't need to like it. I think some people might, but it's necessary. Singing is living.
Thanks to our incredible guests for sharing their talents with us, to Tao Group and our gorgeous venue, the Silver Lining Lounge in New York City, and to you for joining us at And That's Showbiz. We have a lot of Broadway content coming your way, so don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you thought and what guests you want to see in the comments. And we'll see you in the next one.